What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So if you follow the MLB, you probably know that the All-Star game is about to take place and voting has just entered the second phase. And I came across this article the other day of the updated voting, and let's just say it wasn't the greatest I've ever seen, mostly because of one team, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. So if you don't know, which you probably should, the Toronto Blue Jays are located in Canada, obviously, and they basically have like a whole country voting behind them, so that's why they have so many players on the ballot. And you may think they might deserve it, but a lot of the players do not deserve to be on this ballot. Like, at first base, the leading vote getter is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So let's just look up his stats real quick. So if you go ahead and look at his stats, he's got a 121 OPS plus. That's not bad, but he does have a 278 batting average, but only 10 home runs and a 1 WAR is not very good for a first baseman, especially at this point in the year. And he's just not really been that good this year. He hasn't hit a single home run at home. He's just had a bad year. His OPS is 784. I mean, which is good, yeah, but his career OPS is 852, and this is nowhere near all-star level in my opinion, especially when you take into consideration Yandy Diaz he's having an absolutely fantastic year. So does a player with a 2.3 WAR deserve to start over a player with a 1 WAR? According to fan voting, no. A 157 OPS plus compared to like a 121 OPS plus. Yet Yandy Diaz is not starting the All-Star game. It's because the Blue Jays, they have a whole country voting behind them. The Rays are probably they might even be the smallest fan base in the MLB, despite being at the moment the best team in the MLB, which is really weird to me. And coming from a Rays fan, I know you guys probably know if you watch this channel, I'm a Braves fan, but I also am kind of a Rays fan too. And seeing Yandy Diaz absolutely dominate this entire year and not even be the starter in the American League over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is just mind-blowing. And the other day I saw a comment, I think it was on YouTube, but they said Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is just Gleyber Torres with a famous dad. And that was just the perfect description of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to me. He's always been kind of overrated, because let's go back to his stats real quick. So if we go to 2019, his rookie year, he was okay, 106 OPS plus. 2020, he played in all 60 games. He was better, 115 OPS plus. He was pretty good. But none of this was true breakout yet. If you guys don't remember, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is basically one of the most hyped up prospects ever. And if we look at 2021, we can see why. He absolutely dominated. 48 home runs, 400 on base percentage too, and a 600 slugging percentage, and an OPS above 1,000, an OPS at 167. So you guys might be thinking, how is he overrated when he's putting up these stats? Well, if you guys don't remember, in 2021, the Blue Jays were playing in a minor league ballpark, because, they couldn't play in their normal stadium because of COVID restrictions. And so he was playing in Buffalo. And this was the stadium he was playing at. Look at this. Let's look at let's see if we can find the distance to left field. I can't see it. We'll just come back to that later, but his only really good season, his next season was good too, but he only hit 32 homers compared to 48 the season before. His average was way down, his on-base percentage was way down, his slugging was way down, but he still had a good year overall. He still had a good year overall, okay? So, but this year, he's just regressed even more. Some people we're hoping he'd bounce back, but it's not looking like he'd do that. He's on pace to hit 20 home runs compared to 48 only 2 years ago. And he has not hit a single home run in Toronto this year. All 10 of his home runs have been on the road. And I just find it ridiculous how he's the leading vote getter, and that's what really caught my attention. Okay, so we're gonna move on. I think we've said enough about that one. We're gonna go to second base. We're gonna talk here. Whit Merrifield is number 2. Now, I can see where they're coming from with this. I think Marcus Semien should be the starter, yes, but Whit Merrifield being in second isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Let's take a look at Marcus Semien's stats real quick. He's got a 115 OPS plus right now, which isn't absolutely amazing, but he is a second baseman. Keep that in mind. They're never really the greatest at hitting, never the strongest position in general. 2.8 WAR is really good though. That's really good. So if we compare those to Whit Merrifield's stats, it's not even close. A 107 OPS plus is just barely above average. A 1.2 WAR, I mean, it's not bad, but he shouldn't be second in All-Star voting for that. Like, okay, I'll say Jose Altuve being third is kind of dumb considering he's barely played. Like, I see all these like superstar players, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, they belong on here. And then I remember like, wait, they were injured for like a month or two. How are they on here? Personally, if I think if someone was injured for more than like a few weeks, I don't think they should be on here unless they're having an absolute monster season. Brandon Drury in fourth. I'm not really sure how well he's doing. I know he was doing pretty good a few weeks ago, but I don't know if he's fallen off or anything. Let's go ahead and look at those stats. So 1.1 WAR. So in terms of WAR, he is less valuable, but a 117 OPS, which is way higher than Whit Merrifield's. He's hitting more home runs. I think he does have a lower batting average. Maybe it's his defense that's keeping him down, but like maybe if the Angels move him to DH, well, actually they have Ohtani there most of the time, so yeah. We have Jose Caballero in 6th, Brandon Lau in 7th, Adam Frazier 8th, Zach McKinstry 9th, and Andres Jimenez 10th. I'm just going to spare you the details. Most of these people aren't really having great seasons. I don't know about Jose Caballero, but Zach McKinstry might be doing good. I don't know. But most of these players, second baseman in the AL is just a weak position this year. But yeah, moving on to third base, we got Matt Chapman leading in votes, which I find ridiculous because the only reason Matt Chapman has been good this year was because of his absolutely amazing start. First month, I think it was April, where he was probably the best hitter in baseball. But now if you look at his stats, let's go to Matt Chapman. Go ahead and take a look at Matt Chapman's stats. I mean, they're still pretty good. 2.9 WAR is good, really good. But let's go ahead and take, hold on, can we look at his monthly stats? I don't think we can. Now, Matt Chapman, if he's hitting, that's a bonus for you because he is a fantastic fielder. He's one of the best fielders in the game, but if we look at his stats this year, he does have a 6 DRS because he only had a 2 DRS last year, which is way off his usual career DRS. So I was wondering if he had been as good as a fielder as he usually was this year. But his stats are good, but I honestly think the award should go to Josh Young. Just because I don't think his final season stats are going to be any good. And I know his WAR's a lot lower, but he's been way more consistent this year, in my opinion. Like, this is one of my hot takes, but I think he deserves the All-Star game over Chapman, I'm not going to lie. The on-base percentage definitely could use some work, but 15 home runs as a rookie at the All-Star break, and he could add on, it's not the All-Star break yet. It's really impressive, so I'm not going to lie. I think Josh Young should definitely be in consideration. Alright, yeah, so Rafael Devers is in third, and we're going to go ahead and search up his stats real quick. Rafael Devers. I can see why he's not in there. I mean, he's having a decent year, but he only has a 302 on base percentage, which isn't really going to cut it, despite having 18 home runs. 109 OPS plus is decent, but it's not better. It's about the same as Whit Merrifield without his defense. So, yeah, I understand. Rafi probably shouldn't make the All-Star game either, but Jose Ramirez in 4th honestly kind of surprised me. Like, Jose's had a really good year. At least I remember him having a good year. If we take a look at his stats, yeah, 143 OPS plus with a 2.6 WAR. I think, honestly, I know I said Josh Young should start, but maybe Jose Ramirez should start. I don't really know. The fact that he only has 300,000 votes, like, come on, Guardians fans, you gotta start voting more. I remember last year, I think Santiago Espinal was getting more votes over him. I can't remember exactly, but also I know I said I was a Rays fan earlier, and Isaac Paredes, I don't exactly think he should start, but he should be getting like some serious recognition. Like, he's a really good player. I don't think anyone realizes that. Like, it's not like a 140 OPS plus this year, 1.9 WAR. He should definitely be up here. I think he should be above Alex Bregman. I don't think Alex Bregman's really that great. I think he should be ahead of Rafael Devers. I don't think he should be ahead of Matt Chapman, no, but I think he should definitely be up there. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but you know, I'm only one person. They're a whole country voting for Matt Chapman. So what do I know? Alright, we're gonna move on to shortstops, which is probably the one where I'm gonna get the most like disagreement with. Bo Bichette is by far the most voted shortstop, and I love Bo Bichette. I don't think he's overrated at all. I think he's a good player, but honestly, I think Wander Franco should be the All-Star game. I know I'm gonna be biased, but let's compare stats for a second, okay? I've looked at this before, and Bo Bichette, he's a terrific hitter. Like, 316 average, 505 slugging, 137 OPS plus is with 14 home runs, absolutely amazing. But if you know much about him, he doesn't walk that much, which is fine. When you hit for as high as an average as Bo Bichette does, you don't need to walk. But it's kind of like a nice bonus if you can walk. Right now, he actually does have a 2 DRS this year, so that's pretty good. I'll say that 2 DRS this year compared to -16 last year, but it's still good. But it's barely. I don't want to say barely, but it's above average, which is good, of course, with his hitting. But honestly, like, I don't think his fielding is gonna last. Honestly, I think he's bound to mess up at some point. And now if we go ahead, he's got a 126 OPS plus, which is Bo Bichette had a 137 OPS plus, which is pretty similar. So I don't want to say they've been like the same hitter, but Wander Franco has a better WAR, and it's not just WAR that makes me believe that. Bo Bichette also isn't very fast. He doesn't really steal a whole lot of bases. Wander Franco currently has 24 stolen bases, which is really good. So with Bo Bichette, you don't get any base stealing. Wander Franco, you get a lot of base stealing with, I don't want to say like the same hitting, but very similar hitting. And Wander Franco can walk a lot more. Bo Bichette definitely hits for a better average and power, but they're not too far off in terms of hitting. And now, in his career, Wander Franco has kind of just been average in the field, but this year he has an 11 DRS already, which is unbelievable. Like, I cannot. It is unbelievable how great of a defender he's been this year, and he's been maybe the best. He's been probably the best defending shortstop in baseball, unless I'm forgetting about someone. Maybe even the best. I don't know who leads the major leagues in DRS, but I think it could definitely be Wander Franco, and with his base stealing, I think he should be in the All-Star game. He's more of a complete player. He walks more. He steals more bases. He's a better fielder. And sure, he doesn't hit for as much contact or power, but he still hits for a good amount of that. And I think he should be higher than Bo Bichette, or it should at least be close. Like, Bo Bichette has 1,005,000 votes. Wander Franco only has 478,000, which is really dumb to me, but. We're going to move on to DH. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani's here. But Brandon Belt is probably like the second most absurd one I've seen other than Vlad Jr. Now, Robbie Grossman being in third kind of confuses me because last I checked, he was not having a great season at all. But Harold Ramirez, I don't know if you guys know this. Some of you probably don't even know who Harold Ramirez is, but he's really good. Like, it isn't just like this year he's been good. Like, he's been pretty good his entire career. 104 OPS plus, it's like, it's pretty good. But this year, his average, he's always been a high average person, and at 300, his average right now is sitting at 300. Now, granted, he doesn't walk a whole lot, but that's fine. I said earlier, you don't need, if you have a good average, you don't need to walk. And he's got a 488 slugging percentage. It's an OPS at 830. I think that's 1.5 WAR for a DH for someone who doesn't play defense. It's not super fast either, so that just shows how much he can bring to the table while hitting. Now we're going to compare stats to Brandon Belt, who I believe Brandon Belt's been injured. I haven't seen much of him this year. Only a 0.6 WAR, and yet he's getting all-star votes. Only 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. I mean, no stolen bases. If you just look at his OPS plus, it's good, but it's not better than Harold Ramirez, and you consider that he's played like... let's look at the games he's played. 50 games. Like, let's compare that to Harold Ramirez. Like, okay, Brandon Belt played 50 games, and in those 50 games, he's been worse than Harold Ramirez. He's been worse than Harold Ramirez has been in, let's see, 59 games. Okay, well, he has a better OPS plus. He has a better average. I believe he has a better on-base percentage. He has a better slugging. I'm kind of guessing here, but from what I remember from Brandon Belt's stats, he is a better player. Alright, so moving on to the outfield, we got Aaron Judge, obviously. I'm not surprised. Mike Trout, number 2. I'm not sure about Mike Trout being 2. I think Randy Rosarena's had a better year, but then again, he's still Mike Trout. He steals a bunch of bases. Great in the outfield. Even though his offense hasn't been as good as it usually is, he's still been really good this year. Yordan Alvarez in 4. I honestly thought he was DH. I guess Corey Julks is doing that for the Astros now. But 5 and 6 is where it gets, like, just mind-boggling to me. Like, I'm pretty sure only the first 6 are going to start or be in the All-Star game. And Kevin Kiermaier and George Springer. Now, Kevin Kiermaier I'm not going to get too mad about. And if we look at his stats, he's actually had a really underrated season. I haven't really heard anyone talking about him. Like, his hitting stats haven't been great, but a 2.7 WAR for someone who doesn't hit extremely well just shows, like, you know, he steals base. Only 8 this year, though. I feel like he would have had a little bit more, but he's really fast. Okay, maybe he doesn't steal that many bases, but that's still a good amount of stolen bases. It's just like I thought I don't know. I feel like I remember him having more, but 13. Oh my God, that's more than Wander Franco. So yeah, I understand Kevin Kiermaier. I agree with this, and it's not just because he's a former Ray. I actually do agree. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's always this good, but he's had an All-Star season this far. So yeah, I think he should be in the All-Star game. But George Springer is it. You guys might think George Springer is having like an okay season, and he is. He's having an okay season, but okay is not going to cut it for the All-Star game. A 104 OPS plus and a 1.2 WAR. I mean, that's worse than That's worse than the DH that's in 4th place. His WAR. So I don't think he should be starting it, or even in the All-Star game. I know he's not going to be starting, but if we look at his DRS this year, I mean, he's usually a pretty good fielder. -1 DRS this year, while having average hitting, and he's in the All-Star game. It's ridiculous. Like, how? Over Adolis Garcia, who's been really good this year. I don't know why Garcia's not getting any votes. I mean, he's been amazing. The 2.5 WAR this year. That's compared to 1.2 WAR for George Springer. He's got an OPS plus, like, I think George Springer's was 105, I think. So 20 points higher. An OPS plus 20 points higher than George Springer. 261 average, 331 on base percentage, which is really impressive for him because he's never really been able to get on base at a constant rate. So it's just good to see him finally getting on base a lot. So yeah, if we look at his season stats, we can look at his stats from previous years. I mean, he has made an All-Star game, which I don't remember making it, but yeah, 243 average, 30 home runs. It's usually pretty good, but the reason he did not have that great of a year was he only had a 286 on base percentage. I mean, he did not walk at all this year. His OPS plus was perfectly average so next year he was better, I'll say that, but his on base percentage was still really low for someone who, and now in 2023 his on base percentage is at a career high by like 30 points. He's hitting as many home runs, probably even more. He's probably going to finish with more. His slugging percentage is higher, his OPS is higher, 125 OPS plus, which is way better than George Springer. And not to mention, he plays great defense in center field, which is pretty difficult. Okay, I know never mind. His DRS this year is currently at 6 or 5 actually, because he plays right field now. I thought he played center. Okay, well, I guess he plays right field, which is still pretty. It's pretty hard to play outfield. And 5 DRS is really impressive for someone who's hitting as well as he is. The fact that he's not an All-Star game starter. It's not like the Texas Rangers have a super small fan base. I mean, they don't have a large fan base at all. I wouldn't say that. But I hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like down below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.